Welcome to the Blue Collar Barbarian podcast, and we are back with a deck building barbarian, a businessman, an influencer, my man Kevin. Kevin with Ravin. How do you say it?
Ravin Builders.
Ravin Builders. So, guys, I got to share this with you. I found this guy. I actually went and begged him to please come on the show because I wanted to pick this guy's brain. What's really cool about Kevin is his content. I'll tag him below. You'll see his notes in the show notes and such. But Kevin is one of these guys that builds really cool decks. First of all, dude, like I love your work. The quality speaks for itself. From like a social media perspective, it's incredible. But also, you do a really, really good job about sharing what that looks like and different parts of the process and tools. And so your creative aspect is insane. And I'm really, really excited to have you on and talk to you and spend some time with you tonight. So thank you for carving out some time in your busy schedule, man.
Yeah, my pleasure, Jonathan. I'm happy to be here. Really, these are kind of like some of the gifts of like having some exposure is I get to come on and, meet guys like you and kind of talk about the business, talk about really like motivation, right? Like what motivates us to do what we do and share it with everyone else. So yeah, it's cool, man.
No, dude, I got to tell you, we were kind of just talking before show about we were talking about the industry and that, say that your revenue, we'll talk about this later, but your cap is here. And then like say influence or content creation, creative, let's just call it creative umbrella is here. And that this might go to here, but this will go out of the chart. What's interesting about that, dude, is that you have taken the time to start right out of the gate. Like everything I've seen on your platform, everything I've seen is like, there's everything from how-tos to this is what we're doing, to reviewing a tool, to showing this, to even giving back to your followers and stuff like that, doing giveaways. And dude, I just got to say, I think it's really cool to see somebody in the community that is crushing it, but that is also going the extra step to that mastery level to teach it and to show. And dude, I got a lot of respect for you. So
appreciate it, man.
Yeah. So diving in, only decks. I love the shirt too. Diving in, dude. Tell us about Ravin Builders. Tell us about your background, man.
All right, so I'll start off with the name.
Okay.
So before I owned Ravin Builders, I worked for a large company and we remodeled homes for institutional owners, single family real estate, the hedge funds, right? And myself and many will say that they played a big role in the housing collapse and rates and inventory and all that kind of stuff. So I was working for the man. I formed a company on the side. I've had some self-employed roles before. I've been in construction since I was a teenager. So I'm 38 now. I actually exited the field about a decade ago with a really bad shoulder injury. And that's what kind of landed me in a management role. But in this role, I kind of worked my way up the ladder to an upper management role as a senior project manager overseeing my markets up in the Northeast. And it was dreadful, man. It was dreadful. So I had opened a company on the side, but I had like a vicious non-compete. So my wife's name is Rachel and my name is Kevin. So I formed a company that was called Ravin LLC. And actually I've been registered in the state of Rhode Island as a contractor since 2003. But I actually had my wife apply for another contractor's registration and really was just kind of dancing the line of the non-compete and like started really not building a business, but just like creating some revenue on the side, really having nothing to do with the space that I worked in. It was kind of non-related, but construction's a really wide range, so the non-competes can be difficult. But so it's not really a phonetic spelling. It doesn't really, I get that question a lot, like, what does it mean? And it's literally just our names. But
it's cool though. I wouldn't have guessed that.
Yeah, what happened? I've had one client who guessed it.
Really?
Yeah. She's like asking me what my dad's name is. And I'm like kind of confused and told her. And then she was like, "What's your wife's name?" And I'm like, "Huh?" And she's like, "Is her name Rachel?" And I'm like, wow, no, but talk about a smart cookie to like just pull that out of nowhere. Um, but yeah, so that's the story of starting the business is when COVID hit, I was working for a company that created inventory of houses to renovate by evicting people out of unpaid mortgages, right? And COVID ended that. They put a moratorium on evictions, and we went from renovating, 700 houses a month across the country to 70.
Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So I laid off my whole team. I was kind of hanging by a thread, and I just stuck it out, man. I was working on the side, doing our thing, kind of had a no-show job. I was still getting paid for, and then they finally offered me a severance, and that's when I kind of actually hung a shingle and lettered what was then my stunt riding tour trailer, and I slapped a generic construction logo on the side of it, and and went back in the field. So really, I just entered at the right time, right? Because COVID had hit, everybody was doing projects, everybody was home. There was some cash flowing, and the outdoor living industry just started to boom, right? Really, like the whole backyard. I'm in the Northeast, so like pretty much everybody has a deck. A lot of people have a deck and a patio, and we're in a coastal region, so although our median income isn't what some other territories are around the country, and even our housing price, we have that coastal area kind of in a lot of it, right? Rhode Island has more coastline than any other state in the country, I believe. Even though we're this smallest state in the country, it's
Yeah.
pretty much just this maze of coastline, right? That wraps the Atlantic and the Bay and the Sound and all of that. So the same house, 1,000 feet away from each other, costs 10 times as much money if it's on the water.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? A
Yeah.
$300,000 or $400,000 home can fetch $3 or $4 million on the water. Now we
Yeah.
don't have $50 million homes like they do in some other parts of the country, but it does create opportunity for someone like myself that wants to be that elite builder that can build projects and really just can present ourselves as being like the clear choice to build anything at a high level in comparison to other builders that do bathrooms and do kitchens. And if you go on somebody's website, they're going to have all these random pictures of a bunch of different scopes, but if you go on our website, it's cable rail decks and glass railing decks and patios and elevated decks on the water, wooden decks, plastic decks, so it really gives somebody a lot of examples of like the quality and the type of projects we can build. So like I never thought that we were going to be a niche deck builder. Never in my life did I think that that it was even possible to be a niche builder in the trades. And it's kind of silly, right? Because most of the skilled or licensed trades, they operate in a niche, right? Like plasters don't run wiring, plumbers don't run electrical, um, you know, granite installers don't put the cabinets in. Uh,
Right.
but I live in a region that it's very common for a carpenter to hang doors and to tile showers and to do basement frame outs and to build decks. Most of my competition are guys that also do bathroom renovations, you know? And I did some traveling kind of early, like a few years ago. I started kind of looking into, just because I was looking at some of the projects that we did that were the most enjoyable were decks, and it's always kind of been one of my favorite aspects. I like working outside. Um, I like having kind of freedom of design, and really, when we started this company, I was doing whatever I could get my hands on, right? Really no marketing plan, just vinyl wrap and whatever else, simple website and whatever, the lead generators, not really paying for it, but just kind of getting my name everywhere I could. So I go travel. I go to Deck Expo, hosted by NADRA, and that's the North American Deck and Railing Association. It's really the only organization of its kind in this industry. So,
yeah, and where's that at?
So NADRA, that year it was in Dallas, the Deck Expo. The last couple of years it's been in Vegas. We actually just attended back in November. I brought my whole team. We did a media blitz there. Brought a videographer, and really great time. But I've developed a lot of relationships in that industry. Like that first meeting at Deck Expo when I went to Dallas, I knew nobody. I wasn't even a member of any Facebook groups yet. I didn't follow any other deck builders on Instagram. I didn't even know who any of these guys were. They were up there, speaking, presentations and all this. And really, you can tell who the guys are that really have a name and a face in the industry, right? And some like the influencers and stuff like that. And now a few years later, I share a lot of personal information with these guys and business, and we're just I have a lot of close relationships with guys in the industry. It's like the most tight-knit thing I've ever experienced as far as, my experience in the trades in the last 20 years. But a lot of these guys just built decks. A lot of them. I figured out, like, if you're in Denver, where are you out of?
So I live in Estacada, but I'm outside of Portland, Oregon, about an hour.
Yeah. So if you want to get a deck built in your neighborhood, would it be customary to call a deck builder or just hire a local carpenter?
You'd, if you were like to look through a phone book, or you'd actually be hiring like a deck, like somebody that specializes,
a specialized deck builder.
Unless you know somebody, right?
Right. But here, it's not really like that. So there was really it was kind of like I saw it as an opportunity to be in a market that, like Denver, there's 50 deck builders in the phone book. And like here, there was 2, and I'm like, all right, everybody's got a deck, you know what I mean? And it was just one of those situations where I saw an opportunity and said, all right, let's hit this hard and let's go after it and let's be like the elite, level deck builder of this market and like own this market. And we've developed a national reputation.
I bet, dude, your content, like I said, I wasn't bullshitting you.
So now it really is just something that the power of social media, is really incredible, where like if you could have somebody that lives near me that is hosting Christmas and they have a bunch of relatives in, and like some guy from like their cousin from Seattle is gonna be like, oh, if you get this deck done, you have to hire this guy. He lives in, because we have national recognition for what we do, to be elite, to be, the choice. So it's interesting. I didn't think we were going to ever, I never thought I would niche. And I really never thought that we would build like a contractor-based platform, right? Like I started building out the socials just because when you own a business in 2023, like it's a requirement that you have social media, and every spot that you can get in a website queue, like a search queue, is important. So it's really important to have it yellow pages listing, even though nobody uses it. And, in Angie's listing, even though don't pay for it and don't, just to have your name, just a backlink, and, and that's really what happened. Right. And we just keep building upon that. And it turns out that our following, like who's the most interested in our content is other contractors.
Oh, I bet. Because
and
what it does is it gives them
manufacturers.
ideas, right? Like it gives them
Yeah.
a source
Oh,
of,
yeah.
a lot of
And,
people are actually watching you to learn how to present what they do, even though they may know.
Yeah. And it's a two-way street, right?
Sure. Yeah, 100%.
So 3 years ago, when I decided to niche down and I didn't know anybody in the deck industry and I didn't follow anybody on Instagram, I went down to Texas and I was like, follow this guy and follow that guy. This guy builds with steel. Listen,
Yeah.
I've used all sorts of alternative framings. 3 years ago, I didn't know what Fortress Steel was. Like I saw it for the first time at Deck Expo. Nobody around here uses anything like that because nobody is a specialty builder. Now it's becoming a little more mainstream, but a few years ago, like I was so unaware of so many practices and products available out there, and really just methodology that I had never seen because really everything out here is like built the same, right? Like we're all like cedar shakes, white trim, big fat posts, not really nothing very modern, just very like traditional kind of New England, salt boxes and farmhouses. But yeah, so just
I
kind of
want to
open it
stop you
up.
for a second, though, because let me back you up, because this is for our audience here. There's a big, big, big lesson that he shared, and there's two in one. Okay, what you did, Kevin. I just want to highlight this because this is super important. You networked. You put yourself out there. You took a risk. You went to an expo. You did something uncomfortable.
Almost bailed on it too. Bailed on it, and then followed through, and it changed everything.
And then the other thing that you did outside of the network thing and open yourself up to meeting new people and open your creative mind up and to really draw in like, what could I do or how do I want to do this? Not only that, but you found a hole in your market. You didn't reinvent the wheel, mind you. You're not reinventing anything new. You're taking a skill set that you have, something that you know how to do, being one, perform the work, two, manage the work, and you're going and in an attempt to meet new people and network and open your mind up to how to get better at this or whatnot, educate yourself further. How about that? You found a hole. And the key thing, you did not have to reinvent the wheel. You did not. You literally went and found a gap in, here's the key word, guys, your market. Like in your marketplace. And could you talk about that for a second? Because I feel like a lot of people, how many times you probably get asked this a lot? How do I just figure out what I could do that's different, right? Everybody's doing this.
You have to find a source of value that you can provide. And it's the same thing on social, right? Is a lot of people are like, my content won't take off. I can't get any views. I can't build a following. I can't, it's like some like stroke of luck to build a following, And like, I tell people all the time, like if I go on a trip and I start posting different type of content, even related to like when I'm at a trade show and we post clips of like me interviewing manufacturers and like just having fun at the trade show and stuff, my viewership goes like this, even though it's the same trade, because it's not valuable enough to the people that are following us to learn how to build and to be on site with us, right? It's like a reality TV show about, but then they take you to like dinner with them and you're just sitting there like, I'm not here for this.
Yeah, you know what I mean? I want to watch the drama.
So it's the same thing with social as it is with a client, right? It's like all we're trying to do is provide more value than the next guy. And we do that by being specialized, by being dialed, you know? So like you can put me in a room with a client next to, I mean, we have builders around here that build up to like $700, $800 a square foot.
Wow.
I mean, guys that are like, I mean, they're, custom joinery, they'll, rebuild, just antique ceramic crown molding, like whatever needs to be done, right? We have mansions in Newport that have, gold leaf and really ancient. So you got guys like that, but you put me in the room with them talking about decks, I'm way more qualified.
Yeah.
Because I know every product, every method that's available. I have my ear to the ground. I follow every deck builder in the country that I've found that's producing quality work, right? And engage with their content. Like I'm a sponge. And I have the manufacturers. I'm not saying that everybody should like pick a trade and pick an area of the trade and niche, but man, it's efficient.
Yeah.
You want to talk about just picking a sector, and I know all the manufacturer reps. I know upper management and C-class, C-suite members of all these deck company manufacturing corporations. Like that's something that I never could have said in my other 17 years of construction. I never met any CEOs that were selling lumber, I really just kind of did my thing, so I've immersed myself in the industry. But I have to say this because a lot of people say, well, how do you go and do that? It's marketing. And a lot of guys will say, we don't do any advertising. We're all word of mouth. Well, yeah, try to get $200,000 deck jobs in a market that the median home price is $350, and do that without marketing.
Yeah, and at scale.
Right. And
yeah.
So it involves, that is where it starts, is marketing myself. And that's not just advertisements and websites and whatever. It's a complete marketing plan. And it includes image, logos, culture, and we have to create that space where other people want to be involved and really will align with like the company values of like, this is who we are the best, we own this space, let's go out and show everybody that we are the guys, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, my market is still adjusting, right? That's where this comes from. Do you know how many times I got asked, you only build decks?
And you know what you say now? Yes, I do.
Only decks.
That's it.
Well, it's funny. I'm wearing an old one, but I did a rebrand that in parentheses, in little letters, it says "and outdoor living." Because we hardscape too, we do.
Dude,
we started like doing our own hardscape. Yeah.
I was gonna say, I bet you that what started as decks, just from doing some work with some buddies on the side before, ended up in you being able to pull hard. You'd be stupid not to, right? Because a lot of the people, well, what do I do next?
Well, we started off by doing some collaboration jobs with like other like hardscape companies. And we're still like, we're not going to do pools, at least not for the next decade. But like, as far as really part of what motivated me to niche wasn't just that we had higher margins, that the guys enjoyed it, that I like creating in a space where I have a lot of flexibility. Like when you're building like a new construction home for someone, you can't really be like, oh, it'd be cool if we, turn this wall and had the bathroom walk out this way, But like, I literally do that on the regular on these projects where I'm just like, you know what we should do? I mean, we have so many design changes that happen, and sometimes we'll bounce them off the client. Sometimes I just know I have the freedom because it's really like not like a major footprint change. It could just be trim details, right? Where I can be creative. And like a lot of stuff that you'll see like that we do is we have the resources that we can kind of do little upgrades and detail additions and stuff. And like we don't charge the client for them, but we create content with them, you know? It's just something like, hey, this would be cool. We tried to do it like this. And we might take some time and set up some cameras and try it. Sometimes it might fail. But it's cool to have kind of that creative opportunity that we really didn't have. When we were building our last new construction, all I was doing was being let down by subcontractors, municipalities, and utility companies on a regular basis.
Oh, I bet.
I was living the same life I was living working for that conglomerate renovation company when the name of the game was like closings, numbers, schedule, and letdowns. Who's not going to show up? That's going to delay everybody else, or, is the 4-man crew going to call me on Monday morning and tell me 3 guys are sick, which was just a regular thing, right? Like, we have very minimal subs that we need to build. A little bit of electrical, a little bit of gas. Other than that, calling the gutter guys when we do a drop ceiling or whatever, when we, do a dry deck. Other than that, it's us. We own our own equipment. We drive our own helical piles. And so there's a lot of freedom in that, a lot of control. I like control.
Yeah. Have you ever thought about, in the sense of like subbing that out, like so that just to take on more, to scale? Like, because you could essentially collaborate, is the word you used earlier, but you could collaborate with like some of these other deck guys, right? And give them like, hey, do this deck while I do this, or you really love being in the process?
Here's the thing is it's pretty like disheartening when you're building a business and you kind of, for my experience, right? And every time I've been in a self-employed role, where like I used to be on a smaller scale where I would sub like siding and roofing and some framing and stuff, and I'd get a big house, right? So I'd put an ad out and try to find like subs or builders or whoever that I could hire. And you got to go through 10 to find one. Because 10 tell you on the phone that they're God's gift to construction and send you all these photographs and, this, that, and the other thing. And then maybe one of them can even put a candle to the story that he told you about his career and his abilities. It's so sad, but I feel like it's very rare that someone will like undersell themselves and overperform, which is what we do to clients. Like we try to underpromise and overdeliver on timelines, on price, well, not really on price, but we don't charge. It's very rare that we issue change orders or extras. Like we kind of like draw a picture and then build that picture for the decided upon price, But anyways, like if you look at that, right, that's how I come out with a positive review from a client, right? It's like doing what I said I was capable of doing. So that being said, I don't, at this moment, even being from this area and having a lot of experience working around other companies and other guys, I don't know of anyone that I could just hand my plans to and they'll go build the same project as me.
Yeah.
And I'm not saying that I'm something special, but we just are very, very specific, and we have flagship details, and most guys that I hire get a wicked learning curve, to kind of like get on the page with us that we're reading. So I've when you start a business like this, you envision scale, and I just now at this point in the company just envision boutique and just vertical integration and in other lines of revenue. I like, you know, I like keeping it small if I can. If I can, if I could keep the company right where it is right now, you know, like here's the thing: a lot of guys out there, I know a lot of businesses that are like badass business owners that have badass crews that have 4 or 5 crews and they're doing like $6 million a year, right?
Sure.
Building like production type decks and really a little bit. They might have certain crews they do the big ones with, and other guys just go knock these things out. But like I'm doing $2 or $3 million a year with 3 guys.
So, which is incredible. Congratulations, dude.
But
that's awesome.
And I mean, that's gross, right? So let's not get ahead of ourselves, because that number doesn't really mean that much, like gross revenue. But then it comes back to efficiency. But that being said, is like, if I can just, like, that's good.
But that's
sometimes
that's great. You're 2 years old, 3 years old.
3 years, yeah.
And we're 2 years.
We're 2 years. We're 2 years niche. So yeah, no, it's great. I mean, I went from 400. We went from 400 to 1.2 in a year, and then we went from 1.2 to 2.2 in another year. Yeah, we're gonna beat that this year, But what I'm saying is I couldn't hire 3 more guys and do 6. I couldn't hire 9 guys. It's not like a business that it's just number of employees equal number of revenue. And it's also all the headaches that come with scale. Because I've ran 10-man crew, split crews. I've been in that before, and I know what it is, and you also have to scale your marketing, scale your sales, scale your management. And there's so much on the backside of it. So I've kind of put myself in a position where I'm almost 40. I got, 10 years left of hard and 20 years left of hanging out. And I don't want to pull my hair out. Like, I have young kids. I like being available. I like, I like to travel. So I can build other businesses, right?
Well, you are. And we'll get into that.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. So my tune, really, like 6 months ago, I would have said, new crew this spring, we're going to split. And then it didn't work out. And I said, all right, we're going to split in this next spring. All right, I'm going to hire this guy. He's going to run his own crew. He doesn't work out. All right, we're going to hire this guy. He's going to run his own crew. He doesn't work out. I mean, I'm talking guys that have been in this for a long, long time that promise me they can go out and build what we build without me. And they can't hold a candle to the guys that have been working with me that started building decks with me 2 years ago, coming from siding or roofing or whatever else they were doing before, really with little deck experience. So, I don't know. I'm different though. A lot of people are going to tell you, this is how you 10X. Oh, you got to get out of the field. Oh, you got to do this. Oh, you got to do that. If you're, you got to build $100 million company, and and those are the same guys that are like, 10 years ago, I wanted to jump off a bridge because I was bankrupt and I lost everything, and now I saw God and this and that, and I'm telling you to do what I did then and want to jump off a bridge. It's not, I'm a businessman. I'm an entrepreneur. But scale, I don't think is mandatory. Sure. Well,
I,
to a degree, right?
sure, but if you're saying you're at a place where you're comfortable and you're, like we said, we kind of alluded to, and we're not going to get
Yeah.
there yet, but you're building other businesses as well,
Yeah.
right? That
Yeah.
that are effectively side to what you're doing, but
Sure.
even more essentially financially scalable.
Puzzle pieces.
Yeah,
Puzzle pieces.
Exactly. And they help your
Yeah.
market. But to those guys that listen to this, that do have those big dreams, Kevin's not taken away from that. He's just saying that it's also important to know what you want. And for what he's trying to do, he does it. And my question for you was just coming from when you were describing this, I literally just pictured you're the name that comes up in the phone book. You're who they call. And like, I'm sure you could already, but like, you could probably be like, oh, okay, come estimate, bid the job, call these guys, come build this deck. But from what you're saying is it's not to your standard. So you could never put your name on it, which is
it's just,
so you're just not going to do that, right? Which is
I literally, in my eyes, have one competitor in my market, and it's a couple of guys my age that left the only other deck builder that I knew about when I started this and opened their own company. And they follow us, and they install a lot of the same products that we do, and very much they build a really, really nice project. But those guys are already above subbing jobs out for me. Like, we are competitors and we are friendly. But so what do I do with additional work? Is I just send it to them. Like, jobs that are out of my range, because we have a little bit of geographic separation. Like, anything that's like closer to them than it is to me, I just send to them.
wow.
You know?
Yeah.
I mean,
but that will come
compete?
around.
Why compete when you can collaborate? And we don't have to collaborate financially.
No.
Do you know what I mean?
But it also feels good to help people, right? Like, here you go, dude. Like,
for real. No, for sure. But I also, when I talk to these guys, I'm like, hey, they're like, anything you need. And I'm like, do me a favor, raise your prices 10%. You're underselling. You know? And not because I want to beat them on bids, just because I know what the value is. And I know as they start to scale and take on more financial responsibilities, they're going to need to charge more. So why not just do it now?
Yeah.
You know? Because I want to compete with another deck builder when we go to bid a job. I don't want to compete with Frankie with the pickup truck.
I said, no, yeah, that's.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, and Frankie, God bless you, bro.
People will tell me, we'll price a job, and people will say, you're double what this other guy is. And I'll say, no. He's half price. You ever bought anything half price?
Yeah.
You know what I mean? The stuff they sell half price is usually doubled up to begin with, you know? But at least I know if I'm actually competing with other guys that are like of the same concept that we are, like building like high-end living outdoor living spaces, then like, nobody can be half of us building what we build. Because my expenses are more than half of what we build, you know?
And being niche, nobody can beat you because that is your focal point, right? You get what I mean? Whereas,
especially not in efficiency.
Yeah.
Like, we can build a project that some guys need a week to build. We can build it in one day.
Wow.
You know, we've built like $20,000 or $30,000 projects in 1 or 2 days. And some people are like blown away, thrilled, and you can tell some others like think they got a bad deal.
Yeah, and you're like, hey, you should just be this. You're paying for my experience.
Yeah, you're not paying me by the day. You want to get the guy that's going to be here for 2 weeks, go get him, and the job will look half as good. You know, but yeah, like we have a $30,000 or $40,000 piece of equipment to put our footings in, and I can demo a deck, drive my footings while the guys are putting together the ledger and the beam. I mean, we're decking by lunch. We're putting railings on, and because we didn't dig holes and, have to get a dumpster in the dry, we have our own trash container. We have our own footing equipment. We have, every, I'm sure you've seen my trailer, right?
Yeah.
And literally, like, every single thing that can make us more efficient, like if they come out with something tomorrow that can save me even 10 minutes a day, every day, I'm buying it. Because we work 300 days a year. 10 minutes a day times 300 is a lot of time.
Yeah.
And that's how you raise your margins, raise your efficiency. It's through investment. But yeah, I mean, I don't know. I'm kind of like jaded over scale, I'll be honest. I've had a rough run with trying to build the workforce. And I also feel like every time we try to add somebody, it just kind of like throws the whole vibe off. It's really
Yeah.
hard to find people that fit right, and that like the other guys aren't threatened by, even though they shouldn't be, because these guys can't hold a candle to them. And it's just difficult, right? Because when you're trying to bring in like a high level employee, I think you just have to grow people, and it's difficult.
I can imagine. But
Yeah.
let's put back up for a second here, because I do want to talk about, you said you started in high school. I kind of want to know a little bit about like what was your experiences before, I know you got into the management. I want to talk about that too, because what you're describing right now about like how it's difficult to find people, one, but then qualified people, two, and then people that can perform what they say, blah blah. That's part of what this show is about, is like for our users to be able to take not only your story and be inspired by it, but to learn from you, from an owner, from a barbarian, right? That's the theme.
Yeah.
From somebody that's crushing its opinion, like what's missing. And we'll get into more in depth on that on the questions I have for you. But what got you like started back in the day?
All right. So I was a big surprise, like I was kind of like an outcast that was friends with everybody, right? I didn't really
Sure.
fit well as a kid. I through my teens, drug use, in my 20s, drug addiction, really always was out of place. Really didn't want to go to school, didn't enjoy school, and got straight A's in any classes that they didn't make me do my homework, and got F's in the ones that required it. Aced every test, never brought a piece of, I didn't bring a backpack, I was
Yeah.
like that guy, just like the stubborn, uh, brilliant idiot, you know? Um, really, probably should have been medicated, wasn't, in other words, I got to the point where, whatever, selling drugs in school, uh, you know, probably would have got expelled pretty soon, but just decided to drop out, before they could throw me out. And I was working with a guy,
Whoa.
that,
So you mean to tell me you're doing $2 to $3 million a year and you dropped out of high school?
yeah, I got my GED when I was 16.
Yeah, but
Yeah.
you can't do shit without a master's degree, right?
No, I mean, when I was, yeah, when my friends were still in high school and I had an apartment, I mean, I was making $1,000 a week cash when I was 17. And that was,
Yeah. So
back then, like, I
what
thought I
I'm
had it figured
conveying,
out, dude. I
what
thought
I'm
I had it
conveying
all
though,
figured out.
oh, dude, what I'm trying to just convey to people is that, and this is the important part where we talked about hard a little bit before the show, like
Yeah.
Listen, it doesn't matter what your excuse is right now, today. When you guys are watching this, is going to be 2024. It's a new year. The world is hard. The landscape's hard. There's unfavorable things going on. We know this. It's scary, uncertain times. But what I really want to stress from Kevin's story is what he just explained, which I did not know, is life served him a shit sandwich. Things weren't going his way, and he made a decision to remove himself from the education system. One of my buddies, Mark, who we interviewed on episode 12 or 13, 12, I believe it was. Mark, he got convicted of a felony when he was like 17, right? And then spent some time in prison, then got out of prison and started at the bottom in the oil field, then worked his way up very quickly to a foreman, then a company man, and then a consultant, and then an international drilling consultant. So, like, my point to stress to people that are listening to the show is, like, it doesn't matter what background you come from. Like, you can make something of yourself today if you choose to. If you choose to take the reins of your control. And, like, dude, I got a lot of respect just hearing that about you. And I'm sorry I cut you off there, but it's just, there's so many people that don't understand, like, it don't matter.
Well, that's kind of part of my, like, I've done other podcasts where I talk about my struggles with addiction, and so really it didn't end for me like not having a high school diploma or not going to college.
Sure.
Like when I talk about that management role, so like 5 years ago or less than that, I was in a role where I was interviewing people for 6-figure jobs that required a bachelor's degree to even apply for. And I had somehow, as like a convicted felon recovering junk box, managed to be in a role that was the gatekeeper for 6-figure roles underneath me. Do you know what I mean?
I do.
And it was like, holy shit. Like, I've been clean for 9 years. 8.
Congratulations.
Yeah. So, but really before that, like the end of my active addiction when I was like in the grips was like really, 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 really ugly.
Yeah.
Like, I was not a person that you wanted to be around. I was dangerous to myself and others. And I was just really like a genuine like POS. Not in my core, not in my heart, but like I was in the grips of addiction. I don't want to get in. Like, I really hate the debate about addiction, just because I lived through it and I survived, and I serve in a capacity to help other people survive. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it's still very, it's still such a debate, and there's still such a stigma. Just like there's a stigma against blue collar, right? Just like there's a stigma against the trades, just like all the people in the trades are junkies, right? Or like all the people in the trades are high school dropouts. So like, I guess I kind of do fit the stigma because I'm a junkie dropout. But I like to think that I really do in my heart. I believe that like my journey got me to this podcast.
Yeah. Well, your story.
Do you know what I mean?
Your
to
story
try to
is
be
what
in the moment.
made you.
Correct.
You know what I mean?
Yo, the people that never have to fight
are the first ones to drown.
No kid. And really, but they're the ones that just don't appreciate anything. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, I do.
Like,
unfortunately, I do. Yeah.
We talk about, that's one of the things I like to talk about is like, I just hate so much that there's so many people out there that tell people what they have to do. And people, when I do Instagram lives, people ask me, oh, what do you think about all these coaches or whatever? Now, you got to remember, I do a lot on social media, right?
Sure.
So I'm immersed in the 100 million billion social media growth coaches and, single, stay at home mom hustles with digital content, whatever it is that they're selling. I don't really understand it. I think it's completely ridiculous. But people ask me, why are you going to tell somebody else, let somebody else tell you what you're capable of, how you have to do it, what the path looks like? When we're talking about trying to stand out and be original and provide value that the next person's not going to offer, then how are you going to do that buying a class that 1,000 other people bought? My fish tank lights just turned on, so I must have killed them, and I'm going to turn them off. So just give me 1 second here, because I know it. Oh God, please turn off. Lights off. Ah, that's better. But yeah, so anyways, I guess, so I'm a junkie dropout, but I have an entrepreneurial spirit, but I don't let that define me.
There you go.
Right?
Yeah, because I was going to say, you were onto something with the coach thing.
Right, but I would never be where I am today if it wasn't for my process. Right?
Yeah.
I really never had the patience to execute anything like I've executed right in the last few years until a lot of that process that I went through.
Well, let me ask you this, though, because this is important. Do you see a difference and distinguish between a coach and a mentor?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Because I think, and this is just for clarification purposes.
You have to have people, you have to hang out with people that are achieving the success that you want to achieve.
Thank you. Yes.
But I don't need to pay to be in a class to do that.
No, and you don't need to necessarily listen to somebody that also doesn't have the same circumstances as you, like a single dad talking about making $2 million a month and coaching fitness, or having kids and coaching fit. You're not even in the same category, folks. You got to understand that.
There is guys that were in the outdoor living like deck space before any other companies only did that space. Okay. I'm talking the birth of this industry as a niche sector. And I am in their pocket. I have these guys, I've developed relationships with those guys, and other builders that are just my peers all over the place. Some of them are really good at business. They help me with that. Some of them are really good at building and they suck at business. I help them with business. They help me with building. But really the guys that I look up to are the whole package. I'm talking success, not monetary success, where I look at them and I admire the life that they live and the way that they treat the people that they live that life with, because they're fulfilled in their core. And that's what I'm after. But if you poll my followers, which is like enough people to get a pretty good sample,
sure,
you will not find a single one of them ever who's ever reached out to me and asked me a question that I didn't spend as much time as I saw necessary to fully answer it. So when we talk about coaching and mentoring, or whatever that looks like for each person or each business, I mean, I go on calls with guys. I go on video calls. We talk about marketing. We talk about business. We talk about building. I answer questions every day. I'm on the job. We're building, and I'm on the phone going through. So today I did a ledger application through Fieldstone because they didn't have adequate soil to put an inside beam. So it's a situation where a builder reached out to me and was like, what do I do here? And I kind of went over it with him, gave him the best options, sent him the code requirements for what I was offering, right? And then just kind of chatted up quick, and he's good to go. I had another builder that reached out to me. These are talented people, that was just like, hey, what do you think about this? Like a picture of, I think it's fire, And they're like, yeah, I don't really like the base of it. Like, it's like a bench pedestal thing. And it's like, it looks like a mushroom, And I'm like, wrap another piece of e-paper and make it like a baseboard, So yeah, I love it. So I'm just like collaborating with people, and like my opinion matters, and that's cool. But I've had hour-long calls where I make people take notes to go over like a marketing plan so they can get out from having just a job and open a business. So
and what do you charge? A one-time fee of $999 because it's on sale.
I'm sorry.
You know
what? Here's the deal. I'm going to give you, we can jump right into it, right? You can get however much you want for your course or your class or whatever, and just become another one of these guys trying to make $500 a person off of 100 people or 1,000 people or whatever. I know there's value in coaching. The problem that I have with it is that all these guys are just taking their information from the last guy. And it all came from about the same 10 books. And they're spouting it up there with their Britney Spears microphone. And I don't fucking buy it because none of it's an original idea. I just don't appreciate that as much as some other people do. Now, that's just me. That's my personal opinion. That's my experience. I'm not into it.
Sure.
And that doesn't mean, like, I know guys that have had life-changing experiences in some of these groups. And I have been a member of some groups where we did personal work, with guys that do coach, and I had an experience in it, and I did some personal work that was helpful, but I do some other personal work as well. You got to get right inside. So if you want to be able to provide value.
Yeah. Let me say this, dude, because I know what you're saying here for our people is like, that's your personal preference. You're not taking away from the guys that are coaching or the people that are into that. If you're getting value from it, like, more power to you, bud. But
yeah,
like for me personally, right? Like I've been a part of a couple, let's just say, coaching things on on the entrepreneurial front of like.
Yeah.
And I always join when I've joined them. It's been because like I know my heart and my soul and my spirit, everything about me tells me, like that there's more. I want to do more. I have some idea. I'm trying to figure out how to get something off the ground. But I'm gonna be honest with you. Every single one of those things that I've paid for, with the exception of maybe one, it's the same shit that they tell you. And I'm say 2 months in, or and they'll say like, you just gotta want it. You just gotta do the work. Well, what is the work? Can you answer that for me? Can you tell me what I do to start?
Give me the formula.
Because there's not one. The truth is you have to figure you out first.
Yeah.
And then when you figure you out, you got to pour yourself into that. And now there's little things we could touch on honing that edge, and like you did niching and stuff like that, right? But you got it's like you said, it starts with fixing you. And there's a lot of power in that. And I don't want to spend like shit all over coaches, but I do agree with you.
No,
like,
for sure.
I haven't
I'm a little
found
jaded.
A ton of value. But then,
I'm a little jaded. But it's not just like in our industry.
No. This is, I'm talking entrepreneurial. I'm talking everywhere.
It's like a pandemic.
No, people have figured out that
there's too many.
If you can talk smooth and you can say the right kind of things and get people to buy in, people have figured out that you can make 10, 15 grand a month real quick, really fast on starting your own little Discord group. Or listen, I'm with you, dude. I think it's a hustle that's it's become a virus. But that being said, though, like I look at this will agree with what you said. Do you follow Alex Hormozy at all?
No.
Okay, so Alex Hormozy's he just turned, I think he's 33. He's young, but he's worked $100 million, ironically, a couple $100 million now. But he built companies from the ground up. This is what he does, and he sells all of his information. He doesn't run a coaching group. Does what you're doing, dude. He puts everything out at scale. At scale.
Yeah.
He does videos. He talks about it. He writes books about it. Gives them to you as cheap as he can. He just gives. And on the back end, someday he can help you then come to him with your $3 million business to scale it from 3 to 50, right? That's what he does. But he gives. He's not got some coaching group where you pick my brain and do this or that and pay $300 a month. And no, he's like, this is how I go through this process, and this is how I generate leads, and this is how, just give. And honestly, I was reading one of his books, and that's what got me to start this podcast, ironically, because I read something, and he said, your pain is your purpose. Because like I told you, my hiccup, this is me personally, was that I have all these bright ideas, but I just don't know how to start, and I don't know what I want to start, but I know I don't. I know something inside of me says I got to do something, right? And you're an entrepreneur, so you know this. It's just this, I got to do something. I don't even know what that is, but I was like, wait a second, your pain is your purpose. And that really spoke to me. And Kevin, I'll be honest with you, dude. 2019, I thought I was styling, right? I was making good money. There was more work than you can imagine, and this and that. But when I was sitting in my truck back in May this year, reading that book, and I was educating myself, just trying to make myself a sharper weapon, right?
Yeah.
I read that pain is your purpose, and it just clicked. My pain personally is a lot of the time is financial, but I look around and I'm like, everywhere I look, people are hurting, especially in our industry. Everywhere I look, our brothers and our sisters are, what do I do? Or they're just settling, or they're the same problems that I'm having, everywhere I look, and I'm like, holy fuck. You want to talk about the niche? For me, the niche is I could serve people that are getting into it, and or more specifically, the people that are already in this, that have that little bit of a flicker, that maybe they're not operating at 100%. Maybe they're not making that aggressive step to go after that fucking dream that everybody told them was too big, right? Maybe they're not utilizing their time properly, but they have this skill set that they're just sitting on. So for me, that pain is your purpose thing just inspired this whole, okay, if I can come and talk to Kevin and I can be like, dude, how did you build Ravin Builders? And I don't need to 1, 2, 3, but how did you get through fucking hard, embrace it, and let it forge you into the man that you are today that is successful? And and if I can take that piece of information, even if it's only one sentence out of the hour that we've been on, and it can help any person get out of a funk or click that light bulb like that one phrase did for me, then it's worth it. And that is the niche. Okay, let's wake our people up. This country was built by guys like us that come from unfortunate circumstance and that the world bets against, that lace up their boots, and they don't have necessarily the degrees, or not that all builders don't have degrees. They're not fucking stupid, but
right.
You get what I mean? Guys that come from addiction, guys that come from the military into the trades, guys that come from broken homes, that's what this whole purpose of the show is just to help people take this shit to the next level. And your story has been, but it is incredibly inspiring to me. Not beating up the coach thing anymore. Before we get into questions, there is one more thing I want to pick your brain on. So your social media presence is insane. You've done, I started this podcast off talking about that. Do you mind sharing with our audience a little bit about utilizing your time in effective ways to we kind of alluded to building other companies. That's essentially what you're doing by building your social media presence. Do you mind?
Yeah. Yeah. So I will say that the social media for for me has become the most valuable asset that I have, because when we talk about like scalability of my company, clearly I don't really see there to be much. And scale from that end of it, which is really the only trade that I've ever been in. It's really the only industry that I've ever been in. Like scaling is like pretty difficult, right? So, I drive an $80,000 truck followed by, a $40,000 box truck and a $40,000 dump truck with a trailer on it, with a $40,000 machine that puts piles in with a tool trailer that's got 50 grand worth of tools in it to go build a $20,000, $50,000 deck. Sometimes 200, but you got payroll for the whole team and all the other expenses that come. So if we talk about scaling that business, it's expensive. It really is a huge investment. You want to double what we're doing right now? It's going to cost double the price to build. Then we take social media. We're scaling our social media 5 to 10% month over month. And all it costs is my time and minimal equipment. I mean, anybody can do it with a cell phone.
Sure.
You can literally do it with one cell phone. I have 3, right? And that's my most utilized camera is an iPhone. I have 3. So we have other equipment as well. I've invested, I have a couple of drones and I have some other equipment and, good computer and all that. But 99% of the content is sometimes shot and edited and produced and posted on the same phone in a matter of 5 or 10 minutes. And like if I think something's funny, sometimes I'll like go and I'll screen rip like an audio out of a movie or whatever, like right on site. Like the guys just keep working and I stop and I'm like, I got to carve this out, and just throw it up there. But that is something that has unlimited potential and unlimited revenue potential with absolutely no capital invested. I mean, yes, I'd like to bring in a videographer at some point, and I do pay for some videography occasionally, but
Right.
I don't have to go buy another 3 vehicles and trailers and all this and then double my marketing and double my sales and all of that. So it's not only is it like a cool project that I'm motivated by, but I have to say that if anybody doesn't know this and there's listening, like you're watching videos, not mine, but like you're watching videos where somebody's showing off a tool or showing off a golf club or whatever, and they're getting paid like 30 grand for that video. Like if that even like computes, right?
Dude,
I looked at somebody's just so everybody like go ahead, go get it. You know what I mean? Like there's people getting paid 10 cents a view on YouTube. 10 cents a view.
What do you call that? What's a link tree? I clicked on somebody's link tree the other day. One of these construction type, these blue collar gals. Yeah. Just out of curiosity, I saw like a price sheet thing, and I was like, "Oh, I'm just curious." I personally am not hiring I don't need it for our podcast, but I was curious. I saw these people are charging, dude. Some of these girls are making $7,500 a reel. For a reel for a company, and $2,500 to post on their story that they're using somebody's shit to post on their story.
Yeah, they probably have. They probably have 400K. Is that it?
On one, I think total on all of her shit it was like 1.3 million. I'm gonna avoid names just because I don't want to get into any. She's
She's got, here's the thing. I really don't want to reveal. like I'm trying to figure this out, like, and it's been a process, but like just to put things in perspective, like a shitty billboard in most cities is 20 grand a month.
Mm-hmm.
And like you're reaching people that don't even speak that language. You're reaching people that don't have anything to do or any interest in that product, you know? Like if you're a manufacturer, like think about this is the power of my social media. I mean, I do. So I have a 3D printer and I just make silly things. Like this is actually my boy's design, but it's like a clamp adapter that you put a little piece of aluminum plate in, and then it goes on like a DeWalt clamp, two of them, and you can like clamp deck boards. A company used to make them, I think it was Irwin, and they discontinued it. So people like make their own. But I also have this little thing, and this is like what I call like the Pika jig. So it takes one of those Pika mechanical pencils, and from the different variations, it has a scribe of like different measurements. It's called the Pika block, got my logo on it. But I can just put that out there and it's like bing, 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 people buying them. Think about from an overall perspective from a manufacturer. Do they want to pay 20 grand for the billboard and reach 3% contractors, or do they want to pay 20 grand to that girl or guy that has a million contractors following them?
Yeah.
It is of such high value. But the problem is there's a line. So what I've done is from the first day, the only products we use, the only products I'll ever partner with is something that makes sense, that we either already use, already believe in, or think will raise our level, raise the game for us by using it, you know? And like, because of that, we're actually authentic. I'm not just going to go stomping around in shitty boots because they're paying me to show them.
Sure.
You know? And like, because of that, we have a lot of power because people know that if we're willing to show something, then we believe in it. So we have authenticity in everything. So there's a lot of value there, you know?
Oh, dude, if you're saying 20 grand a month is a shitty billboard, like what it makes sense. Why wouldn't you risk $2,500 to see what a kid can do for 1 month?
Hell
I mean,
yeah.
you just, and for all you know, you literally, you want to talk about 10Xing, you could 10X your market space on one random bit, and you could try that across the board if you're a manufacturer with five people for the price of the one.
But like, there's so many other industry, like the construction industry is really just catching on to this form of marketing, and
this
some
is
of
where
them
we got to be like, shh.
Some of them, yeah, but check it out. Go ahead, try to build a following.
Okay, so this is where I was going to say.
Try to scale social. I challenge everybody. Come and get me. It's friggin' hard, dude.
Yeah, so talk about that. Talk about that. How do you build an engaging platform? I mean, you don't need to give away all your secrets, but give our listeners something.
No, it's the same thing as selling a deck. You got to provide value.
Oh, okay. Here we go.
You know? And you got to be, it helps to be unique, but you really have to, you just have to be real. Like, I know so many people that, like, they get, you know, I don't know, they're just too worried about what everybody else thinks to, you know, to really like appeal to people that really just want it real. You know, like I go after people. If people come on running their mouths, I'll go after them. I don't care. You know what I mean? That's what some of the best stuff I've ever done is like someone will come after my stuff because that's what people on the internet do. They, you know, keyboard warriors, you know, they've been in the industry for 50 years. You don't know what the hell you're doing. You have no idea what's going on. They could tell you all about it, but they won't show you. private account, you know?
Yeah.
They'll tell you everything, but they don't, you know. Anyways, I'll fire off to people, but that's like part of, I'm just very authentic and I'm very genuine and I'm very open. But with the value proposition is it's like, I'm going to share my work real time, everything that I post, almost everything. Like today I posted a reel from like over the summer just because somebody commented on it and it was like one that nobody even really saw. It didn't do a lot of views and somebody just randomly commented. And I like rewatched one of my pieces of content from 8 months ago and I was like, oh, it's awesome. You know, I reposted it. But normally every single one, like morning, night, is our projects in real time, you know? And like people really enjoy watching. But every comment I respond to, or at least like it, if there's no substance there, I'm not just going to like respond with emojis for no reason. Every compliment I thank with at least an emoji. Every DM I respond to. Every question I get, I answer. When I post something for a manufacturer about a product, I don't do it unless I have experience working with it and I have the answers to the questions. And if I don't have the answers that I know I'm going to get asked, I actually ask for them before posting it. I get the testing reports, engineering, whatever it is for that product. I want the answers to question. I want to be educated on the product before I go try to talk to people about it. So it's a lot of work, but how do you build a following? You provide value. And for the people that are posting valuable content that aren't getting traction, it could be as simple as the hook, but I never post hooks. I just post raw content. My stuff is not shiny, not glamorous, and if I edit it too much, it flops. Shaky cam, like that's just what I've done well with, you know? I got other builders around me that have way better content than me that have no following. And a lot of people will say it takes a little bit of luck. And I don't want to disagree with that. But I do have to say that even with a large following, you can really lose engagement by discontinuing the reason that people followed you or like not providing the value, and your engagement will just go. Like I was talking before, like if I post a picture, if I post a reel tomorrow of like something unrelated to my content, it will flop. And if I do it again and again, I will just start shredding followers and my engagement will go in the toilet and it takes a month to get it out of there. I'm not joking. Like I'll show you accounts that had 200,000 views on every video they posted last month or 2 months ago, and right now are getting 5,000 views per video.
Wow.
You know what I mean? It's a grind. It's a grind.
I know. I'm building a podcast page from scratch. Trust me. I wish I could offer you the analytics to say, hey man, I'm going to put you in front of 1 million people. But I'm not a bullshitter. But what I can tell you is, hey man, I want to have a real conversation with you and tell your story and teach people and shoot my shot. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, but I will get there. That's my attitude.
Yeah.
I will. I'll just keep showing up.
So do you know Travis? What he's like the POS carpenter. Do you follow him?
No.
So I'm going to plug him. But here's a dude, right, that I don't know like when his social like took off. But here's a dude that I'm pretty sure like when I was kind of building mine and he was building his. So his page is Baldwin Carpentry. But he's that POS carpenter guy. And he does videos like, if you're a piece of shit carpenter like me, this is how you do it, you know? And I mean, this dude scaled out of nowhere, boom, he started doing these videos and he kind of restructured his whole page to be all like that style, you know? And I'm like, I'm seeing his videos and I'm like, oh my God, he's doing 1 million views every single video. He just found something, like he did a video and it just, boom. He was like, wow, people like that. You know what I mean? So he made another one. And he's awesome and he's talented and he's, you know, like he's not a POS, he's a badass carpenter.
Right.
You know, but he's also a creator. And he found something that he found that bit of humor, right? With like, there's some things that you have to hit on social. You're working, especially Instagram, you're working with a really short attention span and just a type of program. And you have to, so listen, relatability, you know, value, like there's certain things that people will like something for, will comment on something for, and things that people will share and people will save. And that's what drives the Instagram algorithm is engagement.
Right.
You got to figure out, what can I do that people will like? What can I do that people will share? That one's deadly because even if you don't have a following, if people can't help but to send it to a friend or share it to their story, then that's how you get a post to do 5 million when you only have 300 followers. And off the 5 million views, you could probably pick up 10 or 20,000 followers.
Right.
You know, like that's how my first value post was a tooltip. You know, I had 1,000 followers and I did a tooltip that did, I don't know, a couple million views. And I picked up like 10 or 15,000 followers off of it.
Wow.
But I've had other posts that do 5 million views or 7 million views that I probably only picked up 500 followers off of. It's not just about exposure, right? It's about value. I'm telling, like, same with the algorithm, same with everything. It's value. Same with selling a deck. Same with parenting kids or being in a family or a friendship or whatever, any relationship.
Value forward.
You know what I mean?
And that's the niche, just because we've been using that word a lot today. That's the niche that you need to figure out in your game is how can you provide value to your audience, or even as little as it may be, treat it like it's big. Treat it
and
like it's going to be 100,000 people.
One of my values that I provide is humor, but not all humor. That's the other thing. If you have a really, really funny reel that people will follow you for, but then they figure out that the other 99 of 100 of your reels are like how to build a deck, and they could give a shit about building a deck, then they're just going to either unfollow you or stop watching. So it's really important that you are yourself, because if it's a charade, you'll never keep it up. You have to be genuine, in my opinion. Because if I picked up my first 20 or 30 or 40 or 50,000 followers trying to be somebody that I'm not, or trying to do something that doesn't make me happy in order to build a following, how long is that sustainable? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I see that where it's like people want to be creators just for the glamour of like growing a big following, but they don't really have the concept of what you could do with that or what the purpose of it would be. Like if you don't have a purpose, it will never go.
So find a purpose.
And for me is I create a line of revenue by, instead of leveraging money from the viewers to pay for that information, I'll leverage the billion-dollar corporations that manufacture the products that everybody uses to pay me to teach you or to share what I have with you. Let them pay for it. Why am I going to charge you all $50 a piece or $500 a piece when I could just charge them $5,000 and put out the video?
Mm-hmm.
That's where I'm coming from. I'm not like against corporate America or anything. I just feel like they have the resources. We really don't. And they're willing to invest in us.
Sure.
And if I can be a vessel of that information, then let them pay me to do it. And you guys just soak it up. That's where I'm coming from. That's my plan. And really, like, I don't know, it's working.
Sure. It's a little weird.
I'm having a good time.
That's what's most important, right? But is that it's not, and it's weird at first, right? You're using your camera you're mid working on something and you stop and you're filming, and now you got to teach yourself a little bit of editing stuff. But like you said, if you can figure that out and make it connect the dots, then that connect the dots will start with typically free shit. And then free shit becomes, how much do you want to do that for me, or to do something like that for me? And then it can become, if you're doing it the way you're talking about, you're just doing it naturally anyway. So then they're just going to pay you to keep doing what you are doing, not to change. They don't need this. This is for the audience. I know you know this, but they don't need 10 Kevins. They don't need 50 Jonathans. They need a Kevin. They need a Jonathan. They need a Matt, they need a Sarah, they're not looking for you to repeat what you already are consuming on the internet. They are looking for you to find your own niche that gets them in front of a new or
page.
larger demographic, or puts them as a second or a third or a fourth view that day in somebody's feed, because everybody that they've scrolled through likes the Only Dex t-shirt. For whatever reason, they keep seeing it, and it makes this conversation piece, or,
and that's what I tell a lot of these brands that I talk to, is I'm like, hey, I got an army out there. I got guys with like low followings that are really talented and make awesome content and just haven't like caught traction yet. I'm like, but not everybody is going to want to listen to me. I'm from the Northeast. A lot of people think that like us New Englanders sound like assholes, especially people from the South. They just, I don't know. And really just I'm me, and I'm not like everybody's. I'm like, but if you get like me and then this other guy who's like different, different backdrop in all his jobs. He's in a different region, different market, talks different, looks different. And you kind of like get a spread, A lot of time it is like Northeast, Northwest, Southwest, and Southeast, Midwest. But you can reach a lot of different demographics like that, and just markets. But I don't know. I have so much fun with it. I really do. Like I just think it's so funny. Like we were just, I was like playing around this little label machine that one of the tool companies gave me. And it's like not its purpose at all. It's Recon that has that digital tape measure that can like send measurements to an app, and the app can like print a sticker that has a QR code and the measurement written on it and like where it goes. But in the app that they have, you can actually make like custom stickers where you can like print a QR code. You just put in any website and like whatever you want it to say. So it's like sticking them on all the drawers in the trailers because I want to get labels made for all the pack outs. But I was like, this would be fun. Just get everything labeled for now so we can see it until we get real ones made. And I have a drawer that I call the Kevin No drawer. It's like all my little like squid jig and like pencils and like bits and like just little tech stuff that I want people messing with. And I put Kevin No drawer, and everybody knows that's what it's called. They're like, oh, it's in your No drawer. But I put it on the QR code. I put a link to the American Red Cross first aid page, like how to administer first aid or whatever. So if you scan the QR, and like I made a video, and like I could barely talk. I was laughing so hard, like trying to just film a video of like me scanning the code and like go like it cut. And I just think that's so funny. Like if I was to watch it right now, and most of my videos I'm trying to be funny, I wouldn't watch it and I just can't help but laugh. But like I don't know. And like that video is not going to do 1 million views, but genuinely, I think it's really funny. And it brings me joy to like see my guys laughing and thinking, and we're really like creating that. Cause that's what, when I come in here to talk on one of these things and people are like, well, how do you do it? How do you build it? How do you, how did you come up with this? Whatever. And I'm like, yo, I just wanted to create. And I just didn't want to work for a big company anymore. I want to work for a small company. And I just am trying to figure out how to create a space where other people want to join in my like vision.
Yeah.
And like part of that for me is like letting go of some control sometimes, letting guys have their own process, but creating an enjoyable place to be where people want to go to work. And like I just brought my whole team to Vegas. Yeah, my whole team. It's 4 people. You know what I mean? We're a foursome. But we all went to Vegas. Man, I brought these guys to the desert, surprised them with 50 cal.
There you go. Yeah.
Full spread out in the desert. We did like whatever, man. We vacationed while we were at this show, But the reason I really did it, I knew it would be fun. I knew these guys would really enjoy, everybody would enjoy themselves. But like I wanted them to be in that show where all these other industry leaders could personally tell them how we move the needle for the industry. Like I just knew it would inspire them.
Yeah.
To like hear it firsthand that they are like legendary in the industry. And I don't say that trying to like boast, but like that's what they're like, I can't, like they know it, but they don't really like feel it.
Yeah.
Except when somebody's like, man, you guys, like they're just like almost like starstruck to like meet these guys that are in the videos that we do or whatever. And a lot of these guys that he shows, I already know, we're already friends and we talk. But anyways, that is the plan, right? Is to create something that's like bigger than me.
Sure.
And then we can use that to inspire other people to get involved in the trades.
Yeah.
And we act like nobody's getting paid on social media, like it's like taboo or impossible to do this, to do what I'm trying to do. When I have people in group chats this week that I'm in trying to say, oh, well, you should do, anybody who thinks that ever going to pan out should do, except for him, like the one guy that has a following or whatever. And like, I'm not even in that list or whatever, because this dude's a jackass and doesn't want to accept the fact that, like, yeah, like I'll profit more off of partnerships next year than I will off my construction company, because the margin's like 90%. The construction company, the net margin's 10%. It's,
yeah,
no,
yeah, no, I completely,
you know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's like, if that. Anyways, but yeah, that's not listen, you want 20-year-old kids to get excited about, instead of going to college, to go learn how to build decks? Show them Vegas. Show them,
a nice
show
truck,
them that,
toys.
Hell yeah, dude, I show that stuff.
Yeah, no,
I got the
quality work.
Yeah, tuna. Yeah, bringing my guys out tuna fishing, um, whatever. We do all sorts of stuff. And like, really, listen, all my guys are salary. I say all my guys because we're a team, right? But it's like
Sure.
both of my guys or whatever, however you want to say it. But like, we're salary. Uh, I offer cash on the weekends to organize. Don't tell anyone. Um, and any days off are paid. You know, if both my guys call me when I text me right now, and both say they're sick, or one says he has to do this with his kids tomorrow, and one is not feeling well, then I will go to work alone tomorrow, and I will pay everybody. Here's the thing, though: they will both be there at 6:50 a.m. Mark my words.
Yeah, well,
You
that's
know,
because you built that culture. That's what you
yeah,
did. You created a
because they're
culture.
invested. Like those guys know what we're getting after tomorrow, and they're like about it. They're about getting after that.
Yeah.
You know,
But that's
so I don't
surrounding
know
yourself with savages, bro. That's what you've done.
for sure.
You've created a culture, and now you've surrounded yourself with other barbarians, and that's another thing people need to understand. You need to cut the wash. Cut it.
Yeah,
Cut the wash. Like, you're not doing yourself any favor holding on to drama mamas or any of that shit, or the
right.
negative fucking dude at work that's always complaining. All you're doing is holding yourself back, dude.
Yeah,
Every time.
and it just brings everybody else down. And
Yeah.
I can be the biggest proponent of negativity.
Sure. We all
I
can.
am. I am because and my guys don't try to bring like home stress to work, right? And neither do I. But be in my role and try to leave business stress at home.
Yeah.
It's hard. It's
Yeah.
hard. You know what I mean? Because sometimes you're just getting your ass kicked from every angle, and you can really easily be like, dude, what are you doing right now? Like, why would you do? We've done this 100 times. What are you doing? You know? Um, and I don't know what industry, like how you were raised in the industry, but I was raised getting screamed at for money. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like that's how I came up, was like getting screamed at for money, being belittled. Really like if I stopped learning about how to be a person at 25 years old, I would have thought like that's the only requirement of construction is to make everybody underneath you feel like total shit so you feel better about yourself.
And you got good
And
at it.
and you can see that like the boomers like on the internet, like that's who they are, you know, because that was it. So that's another thing that we have to break as a team, right? Is we have to break that that stigma of like that we need to beat down the people around us to make ourselves go higher because it's not true. You know what I mean? If
Yeah.
anything, if anything, all you're going to do is end up alone. As you know, it's it's just not it doesn't attract any it doesn't inspire anybody to want to win as a team.
No.
You know what I mean?
I
That's a
100% do.
thing. I don't yeah, I might not want to scale to like big. I just want to stay the same size and make more and more and more and more money. And it's possible. I told you earlier, there's a guy around here that builds house for $800 a square foot.
Yeah.
There's other guys that do it for $250. I build some decks for more money a square foot than some people build whole houses. You know what I mean? So like, I don't know, because of value, right? And that's, I don't know. So yeah, so team is something that I'm learning a lot about over the last 10 years.
Yeah.
Really, since I pulled my own head out of my ass and realized that there's other people on this in this planet and ways to achieve things together instead of always feeling like I'm in competition with other people when really I'm only in competition with myself.
Mm-hmm.
And if I compete with myself, then other people will join the fight with me.
Yeah.
Does that make sense?
No, it completely does. If you're executing on your expectation, like
Yeah.
you've now created a standard for other people to adhere to. It makes entirely sense because you're living what you're expecting. You're living what you're talking.
Oh yeah.
Like you are setting the standard,
So
and you can't argue when the leader is living it. When the guy that is telling you to, hey, get your shit together, man, hurry up, has his shit together and is hurrying up, you can't be like, you're a hypocrite, fuck you. You can't. You have to inspire. Greatness inspires greatness. That's the way
yeah.
I'll say that, you know?
So I'll share this little quick tidbit because I know I'm jaded when it comes to like hiring. Like I just feel like it's just one after another that's just like, what the hell, really? And so I had this young kid, right? And I just really like this. I seen him on social media for a long time. He's in the community group I'm in. He lives in my community. He just seemed like a really good kid. And he is, right? He's like coaches hockey for like a private Christian school and like came up in hockey. It's like his life, right? He like 4 a.m, gets up to go coach and this and that. Listen, he told me 2 years home building, 7 years in a cabinet shop or something. He's a young kid, but 2 years on a home build site, right? Frame to finish. It's at least a couple of houses, right? At least a house, a giant, massive house. Tells me, oh, I know, because I'm like, listen, if we do this number, like you're going to have to perform at this level or it's not going to work. I don't want people to oversell and underperform because then it's never going to work. I'm never going to say, you're not here. We can go back to here and you can get here. You know what I mean? Never works.
Mm-hmm.
You come in at 15, 25 and you're an all-star. I'll just be like, boom, 35, boom. But you come in asking for 35 and you're worth 25. It's not going to work.
No.
Right? Or whatever. Those numbers are just dumb numbers.
Yeah, they're fictional. Yeah.
But here's the deal. He came with us. He didn't know his ass from an elbow. This dude didn't know what a board stretcher was. You're a crane operator. You ever heard of a board stretcher?
I've heard of them. I couldn't tell you.
It's like, the mythical, it's like the tool that you send the new apprentice for that doesn't exist. The tool that stretches a board when you cut it too short.
Yeah, I was going to say.
So on a carpenter's
like spinning
job
the
site,
hook?
Yeah. Yes.
Gotta tighten the hook?
Yes.
Yeah, okay.
So that's a crane. That's a crane joke, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Anyways. But it wasn't just that. It was that he was frantically trying to look like he was working hard, but he was really just chaotically probably being a liability,
Sure.
right? And really at the end of a couple of weeks, the only thing that I could really task him with without having to micromanage was like, take this stuff and put it in that truck, trash, whatever. Now, I'm in the spot where I'm like, this is where we're at. I can help you and we can get you to a place where you're valuable. Don't offer him any pay change or anything. Like, I'll get you there because I know he's a good kid or whatever. We had this long discussion. It doesn't really go that well. He's like obviously not really able to take any criticism. And I'm like, you got to give yourself a break. Let's see how it goes. We'll get you. We'll elevate you, But I'm old school, right?
Yeah.
One of the things was, because I was like, well, listen, bro, you told me you've been framing for 2 years, but you don't know how to roll up a hose. Like, you fucking lied to me. And now I didn't say that, but I said, you're like a chick in an auto parts store,
Yeah.
So he goes on social media, he quits. not in person, but by text. He goes on social media. He says, I got hired by this company. I thought it'd be the best thing that would ever happen to me. And the owner told me that I'm a shit carpenter. And he even said that I'm like a chick in an auto parts store. Misogynistic.
Oh,
He
no.
said, and this is what I did with my stepdad today. It looked for an old guy and a chick in an auto parts store doesn't look. So this was like hog railing out of the box store with the brackets that homeowners buy to screw on, whatever. And I'm not trying to be an asshole, but he just dogged me, right? So I message him, I say, hey man, it's all good, baby. You know what I mean? Like I told you that I would have helped you. You're not interested. You don't have to go try to badmouth me on the internet, right? And he said, well, I said, don't put words in my mouth. He said, well, everything I said was true. You said it. I said, no, I never called you a shit carpenter because you're not a carpenter at all. You told me that you were and you're not. I said, but it's all good, right? But here's the thing. He wasn't providing me any value. He was taking away my value and my resources. And he's not open to criticism. So like, I offered him a flex schedule of like, he could show up late on certain days when he had to coach. Here's a brand new guy that didn't know his ass from his elbow, that was working less hours than the other guys. First day, showed up at 7:01. A few days later, supposed to be there at 7. He's there 7:10.
Yeah, I know.
Where's the value? So
Dude.
that's what we're working with right now. And then people look at and they're like, oh, why? You're supposed to listen. You can't motivate unmotivated people. All you can do is, right?
No, you can't.
So like
this goes to the barbarian part of the blue collar, this podcast, right? Like kind of the beginning of our conversation. It's not the guy that shows up and just clocks in, clocks out. Like you can't carry everybody, and not everybody's going to want it like you, and that's fine. But if you're that ambitious type, you can't dwell or live or compare or contrast yourself to, if you're a lionfish, you don't contrast to a goldfish. You know what I'm saying? If you're a bald eagle, you don't compare yourself to a dove or a pigeon. You just don't do that. You're both birds, sure, but you're two different characteristics, right. And dude, just because we've been going for an hour and 50 minutes, I know it's late there. I do want to get into a couple questions real quick.
Okay.
And what I would like to do
go
is
ahead.
have you back on specifically for Q&A sometime when your schedule opens
word.
up again.
Word.
Cool. So I got to ask you, this is along that line, just because you're spitting fire right now, I want to hear it from you right now, like in this mindset. But what is a blue-collar barbarian to you?
All right. So the way I picture the way that we approach our projects and our business and social and everything is that we attack. We attack our projects and we execute, right? So I really like, as far as like the barbaric terminology,
Yeah.
is we're not supposed to have a seat at the table, right?
Yeah.
We're just supposed to do as we're told, right? And I'm supposed to accept whatever the status quo is for the dropout, junkie, blue collar fucking guy. You know what I mean? But we attack. That's who we are. And we attack with precision. I have reviews that the clients say they're like the SWAT team. 650 every day. You can't do that with a guy that shows up at 7:10.
No.
You're no longer the SWAT team. It's not in. You know what I mean? And it saddens me, but if we're going to be, because we don't have to be outcast to be barbaric, right? We're leaders, but we do it the way we do it. This is the way. This is my vision. You know? That's just the other day. Like, it was pouring. We got like 4 inches of rain. And we organized all day. And I could save money. Hey, we only need 2 guys. Cut out. But I don't. I pay the 40. And because we live and die as a team.
Yeah. And that's part of it.
We all organize. Like, we are here to divide and conquer. Right?
Yeah. And it's an unruly, right? Like in the definition of savage, it says literally like unruly or barbarian. Like,
okay.
It's an unruly approach to me, right? Like, you're not a cookie cutter as a barbarian. You're not a cookie cutter. You're like you're saying, you said you attack, like you go, you get it, you grind, you grit,
you take it.
That's it. You take what's yours.
Yeah, it's savage. It's like, but our definition, right, is of savage is much different these days. Savage is a good thing. Savage was not always a good thing.
No.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, but I'm also not here for average. You know what I mean? Like, so.
Correct. Yeah. Listen, if you're going to shine bright, a lot of people are going to see you. And I've known that for a long time. Our goal is to shine bright. Our goal is to shine bright, not just with our clients, not just with Instagram. Do you know what I mean? But like, I want to go in high schools. You know what I mean? I want to go in high schools. I want to go, social is opening up doors. Manufacturer relationship opening up doors. But like, I'm no longer going to be happy with, like, I will no longer just find all the motivation I need to just continue just building decks day in and day out. And I've been in the trades for 20 something years. I've built a lot of friggin' decks. I like building. I choose to be in the field. I love building. I love creating. I love problem solving. But like, I do have like a higher, like a calling me, saying, let's promote change. Let's develop products. Let's manufacture stuff. Let's do other stuff, in the industry. Let's inspire change.
Yeah.
That's
it.
For me,
Let's inspire change.
Yeah.
Yeah. No, I'm with it. But listen, Kevin, just because what I'd like to do is like I said, we'll bring you back on another time, and I'll blast you with just questions because, dude, I love your mindset and there's a ton of value and it's just getting late and I don't want to keep you. But listen, where can people follow along, like with your journey?
My greatest suggestion would be Instagram. I would love it if you'd go follow me on YouTube because we just opened up that platform. Both of them are at Ravin Builders, Ravin.
Okay.
We're on TikTok. We're on Facebook. Please, God, if I could get rid of one, it would be Facebook. I'd rather be on Pinterest. Facebook is horrible. Zuck, if you're listening, just get rid of Facebook. We don't want it anymore.
Yeah, for real.
But pretty much at Ravin Builders everywhere. But yeah, Instagram is the best spot, and that's the best spot to reach me if you want to shoot a DM. I'll get back to you pretty quick. I probably have about a 5-minute response rate max during the day and about 30 seconds when I'm laying in bed at night before I go to bed. So that's the best place to reach me. But yeah, follow along. And yeah, dude, I appreciate you having me on, man. You know what? I would I'd love to have you over on my end too. We do some live events and I film this podcast, and I'd love to get you out there. You got a lot of value we're trying to bring here, and we're trying to just pick each other up. So I'm down for that as well, man.
I'm happy to be a part of whatever, I say help, but it's not that I would necessarily be helping, but I'm happy to be of value in any
Hell
way
yeah,
I
dude.
can. I'm an
That's
asset,
the key, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the key component, dude. Really, that
Yeah.
we all bring, just in one form or another. But yeah, brother.
And my team, they trust me. We're so grateful for you taking your time to respond to us and to share with us your story. And I really look forward to, we're calling it, well, cat's out of the bag, guys. We're going to call it the Barbarian Insights is what we're going forward with FAQ specific episodes. And what those are, they're going to be targeted with users that, or excuse me, when I say users, like content creators or just guests that we had that I find very passionate, that their story sticks out to me, that they like your management skills and stuff. Like, I want the Barbarian Insights to be something where when we dig into questions, it's for people to like really fucking level up, right? And that's why I want to split this and not rush through it tonight. But I did want to hear your take on that. So, ladies and gentlemen, I want to thank you guys so much for listening to the Blue Collar Barbarian podcast. Go ahead and follow Kevin at Ravin Builders, like he said, pretty much anywhere. Fuck Facebook, but follow him. Do him a bonus. Grab his YouTube. Grab his YouTube. If you could, please be that cool. I know we're smaller, but just support guys that are doing real shit, giving you real content from a real place. And do us a favor and follow us on the Blue Collar Barbarian podcast, or go check out our website, bluecollarbarbariannetwork.com. Hit that subscribe button, and we'd greatly appreciate it, guys. And Kevin, thank you again so much. I'm going to have you hang out for a second so I can talk to you. But for the show, thank you so much for listening.
Yeah.
And we'll see you next time.
See you guys.